G'day, my name's Alex Bainbridge. Welcome to the Green Left Show. Today I'm talking with Lidia Thorpe about standing up against genocide, both genocide against the people of Gaza and genocide against First Nations people in this country today. Before we get underway, I want to acknowledge that this episode of the Green Left Show is being recorded on stolen First Nations land, always was, always will be Aboriginal land, and we pay respects to elders and warriors past and present. Federal Parliament resumed last Tuesday amidst thousands of people protesting against the ongoing genocide in Gaza and the Australian government's refusal to do anything about it. We also saw on that same day Green Senator Marine Faruqi was sanctioned because she held up a sign against the starvation of children in Gaza. We also saw One Nation senators turning their backs on the acknowledgement of country in the Federal Parliament. And we also saw, as I said, the federal government take zero action against the genocide. The protesting outside Parliament was particularly calling on the government to sanction Israel. We've certainly seen some stronger words from Anthony Albanese, the Prime Minister, and Penny Wong, the Foreign Minister, but we've seen zero, absolutely nothing in the way of concrete action to stop the genocide in which Australia is complicit. Things the Australian government could do include obviously sanctioning Israel, taking a stronger diplomatic protest, expelling the Israeli ambassadors, cancelling the $900 million contract with Elbit System, refusing to allow the United States to use the Pine Gap spy base for the targeted genocide of the people of Gaza, among many, many other actions. So I'm here with Lidia Thorpe, and I began by asking her to talk about one positive initiative which is in the Federal Parliament, and that is the Red Lines package. The Red Lines package against genocide. It was actually introduced into the last Parliament by Lidia Thorpe and Senator Fatima Payman from Australia's Voice. I asked Lidia today to begin by just saying, what is the Red Lines package, what's in it, what is it aiming to achieve, and which politicians are likely to be supporting it?
Sure. Look, the Red Lines package has been a culmination of stakeholders, experts, legal experts in the field, and the Red Lines package was introduced last year in the last Parliament. It had to be introduced by Fatima Payman because I was suspended the day that it was to be introduced, and it was, a coincidence that I get suspended on a day that we're meant to be talking about stopping genocide, not only in this country but in Palestine and everywhere else. I've got the day off today.
Good timing.
I've been suspended. I've been censured. And I wear those disciplinary colonial actions like a badge of honour. Colonial violence is ongoing. You see and you hear of the evidence of genocide. You look at the definition of genocide. They are guilty of all of those things. Around the world, with First Peoples, Indigenous peoples, who are suffering, who are having their lands invaded, raped, pillaged, children being slaughtered. We are in solidarity now. We are connected through our trauma, through our resistance. We're looking after each other now, and that scares this place, I can tell you. So we are rising. We are rising, and I believe that we are stronger than we've ever been before. So the Red Line package is basically to stop fueling the genocide and to hold politicians accountable to signing up and aiding and abetting in genocide here and abroad. It's about not trading in any way, shape or form with any country that is committing genocide or crimes against humanity. And we know that this country is already aiding and abetting in the genocide of Palestinians, because we still trade with parts to the arms that are being used against innocent people in Palestine. So the Red Lines package is a number of different parts, 3 parts to the Red Lines package that ultimately address this country being complicit in the ongoing genocide of Palestine and others. So there has been, or that there is still being worked on, some changes to the Red Lines package, which will be reintroduced. So we're just waiting for it to be finalised before I can reintroduce the package. Obviously, Senator Payman is a co-signature to the package. And as I understand it, the Greens will be supporting the package. Senator Pocock is still thinking about it. And yeah, I don't think we're going to get much support from anyone else in the parliament, unfortunately, which means that ultimately they're complicit too.
You'd like to think that opposing genocide would be a no-brainer, but can you tell us what was the reaction from Labor and Liberal last time this package was introduced?
Well, it wasn't debated, so it's just a formality, really. When you introduce a bill, it's just, saying those words in the chamber. And because I was suspended, there was no room for debate. It was just put on the papers and they went on with business as usual. But this time I will be forcing a vote, and I hopefully will have some debate, and we want an inquiry into the 3 elements of the package so that we can further scrutinise what does this look like? What parts is this country sending to Israel to aid and abet in the genocide? And what other trade is happening between this country and Israel that's assisting them to commit these crimes against humanity? So we have flagged, or I have flagged with the government, that we would like an inquiry at least. We know that they won't support these bills, but usually a senator has the opportunity to go into an inquiry as part of that bill, and I'm not getting much positive feedback from them so far about that.
So Tuesday last week was the final day in which thousands of people participated in the Canberra convergence. Their main demand was calling on the Australian government to sanction Israel now. So far, the government's refused to take any specific action along those lines, but I'm wondering if you could talk about that demand for the government to sanction Israel and for the broader boycott, divestment and sanctions campaign.
We know Penny Wong and others, or the Prime Minister, have come out condemning the genocide, not in those words, obviously, but they've come out with stronger words about what's going on, particularly starving people, but and signing up to a document with other countries condemning Israel's actions. But we don't see any action from this government, and we need to start divesting and boycotting Israel as a action that that Israel will take more seriously, and show the rest of the world that we mean business here, and we're not going to do any business with a regime that continues to commit genocide and crimes against humanity. So I've supported divestment and boycotting for since this genocide started. and that's been a long time. And I know that many others have. I got in trouble, in fact, when I was with the Greens for saying that I supported it because it wasn't their policy at the time. But, we need to take serious action here. We can't just sit on our hands and sign up to a document and think that that's enough. We need to take action and divest and boycott Israel. And we need to do that as a matter of urgency. So I support that campaign, and I will do whatever I can to remind people in the parliament that these are some simple actions that we can be taking as a nation.
Look, I also wanted to ask about the ongoing issue of black deaths in custody. In June, we saw the death of Kumanjaya White, killed by police in the Northern Territory. Since then, we've also seen the coroner in the Northern Territory make the explicit finding about Zachary Rolfe that he is racist. He was a police officer who killed another Aboriginal person previously. He's also putting himself forward as a paid motivational speaker, which is somewhat offensive in the circumstances. Can you talk about these recent developments and the ongoing travesty of deaths in custody in this country?
Well, as Chelsea Watergo would say, it's another day in the colony. The racism, came here in 1788 through colonisation, and we've been dealing and resisting the racist occupation in this country. What we're seeing in the Northern Territory is exemplifies what we've been dealing with for over 200 years. To have racist cops, killing our people is nothing new, but to be found guilty of that through a colonial process is something new and something that needs to be taken seriously. The Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths in Custody clearly states that we need to have self-determined solutions, that we want to have investigations that have experts involved in the investigation rather than cops investigating cops. We need to stop investing in prisons and cops. We know the federal government has given money to the Northern Territory coppers. For what? We already have 91% of the population, when we're talking about children, 91% of the prison population is of our kids. So this is an act of genocide. It is specified in, the meaning of genocide is to lock our children up, to cause harm, to take our children away. Well, NT is exemplary in their genocidal practices and policies against our people. So, just to see particularly the Yendamu community have two of their young people killed at the hands of the system or killed at the hands of racist police is really distressing. It's distressing not only to them but to every blackfella in this country, because we all feel that pain, we all know that pain, and we want justice. The family want justice, and we need the feds to take it seriously again, implement the recommendations to the Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths in Custody, and listen to the family. That they have self-determined solutions. Get guns out of communities.
It's been more than 30 years since the Royal Commission into Black Deaths in Custody released its recommendations, which have been largely ignored. 600 deaths, more than 600 deaths later, Aboriginal people are still being killed. But here in Queensland, for example, where I am, the state Liberal National Party government is planning to reintroduce laws against public drunkenness, which goes exactly in the opposite direction to what the Royal Commission recommended. On the other hand, we've recently had this report by the so-called anti-Semitism envoy Julian Siegel talking about, making a range of recommendations, including quite offensive recommendations that really attack at the heart of free speech and so forth. Yet this report is being taken seriously. So I'm wondering if you could make any comments about the contrast between the reactions to these two sets of recommendations.
Look, all I can say to that is racism. And this country was founded on racism. And we need to eradicate all forms of racism in this country. And we need a human rights bill. We don't have a human rights bill. So as long as we don't have a human rights bill, human rights will continue to be violated. And anti-Semitism is racism, but so is Islamophobia. So is the racism that we endure every day as First Peoples in this country. So we need to look at it holistically and stop this country being so racist so that we can all benefit from the fruits of what this country has to offer. We need a human rights bill, which, this Labor government was supportive of before they got into government. Yet, this is their second time round. I sit on the Human Rights Committee within the Federal Parliament, and it's a good committee. So we have a real opportunity here to actually have a human rights bill. The UK has one, so their mates, the colonisers over the road that they bow to all the time, they have one. So why don't we? It's time we had one, and that's what we can do out of all of this.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we finish up, including actually about the links between genocide against First Nations people in this country and genocide against the people of Gaza?
Well, genocide is perpetrated by the colonisers because they want to steal land for themselves, and to steal land and resources, they need to kill the people and remove the people from the lands. So we know what that's about, and we've resisted that, we've survived that, and that's why we do stand in solidarity with Palestine, because it's the same approach, it's the same strategy to steal Palestinian land, to dispossess Palestinians from the land that they come from, resisting and standing up to the colonizer is something we have to do together. And this starvation of people and what they're doing to families and Palestinian people is just cruel, inhumane. It's crimes against humanity. It's genocide. And as long as this country allows this to happen, then they are complicit in this genocide.
Thank you so much for your time today, Lidia. We are truly very lucky to have voices such as yours in the Federal Parliament.
My pleasure.
Thank you everybody for tuning in and watching or listening to this episode of the Green Left Show. As I said at the beginning, if you like the work that we do, please do become a Green Left supporter. It is the number one way to support the work that we do and to receive the content that we produce. But even without spending a cent, you can still support our work by just sharing this episode of the Green Left Show. Tell your friends about it. Pass it on to anyone who you think might be interested. Help us to build the audience for the Green Left Show, and we will see you next time.